Bandersnatch is derived from the Black Mirror series that explores the relationships humans have with technology. The science fiction show focuses on the dark sides of technology. It deals with the unintended and negative consequences technology have on society. According to Sheld, technology and science are slowly invading people's minds. As a consequence of this, people become more anxious and act less human. Through science and technology, people enter a new era of possibilities. This video will analyze the dystopian and postmodern features of Bandersnatch. This science fiction and interactive movie was set in 1984 in the UK. It narrates the story of Stefan, a young programmer that starts to question reality after adapting a dark fantasy called Bandersnatch into a video game. The movie provides its viewers with choices to advance in the film, from something as simple as choosing breakfast to something more immoral, such as deciding on who's going to jump from the building between Stefan and Colin.
People think there's one reality, but there's loads of them all snaking off like roots, and what we do on one path affects what happens on other paths. Time is a construct. People think you can't go back and change things, but you can.
In this extract, Colin Rittman, Stefan's idol game developer, has an epiphany while using LSD, talking about the controlling psychological systems and the infinitude of its cycle. The most noticeable characteristic about postmodernism in Bandersnatch is the uncertainty of what is real. The multiple endings let the audience completely unsettled because the truth and reality are constantly called into questions, as suggested by Lacey Hodge. For instance, in one scene, Stefan realizes that his parents and his psychologist are all part of a scene filmed in a studio. The entire atmosphere remains ambiguous, with no clear cut between what is real and what is fantasy. Even time is elusive. The line between past, present, or future is completely unclear. The movie is set in 1984, which Stefan considers as his present, but the viewers get to make choices about his life in 2018, which is viewed by Stefan as the future. In addition to that, the noir visual aspects from the 80s, the illusion of free will, are also part of postmodern themes that are used in Bandersnatch.
No! Who's doing this to me? Fucking hell. Who? What the fuck is Netflix?
Dystopia is a state or society in which oppressive societal control is maintained, typically in a technological, totalitarian, or post-apocalyptic setting. The easiest way to understand what it is, according to Gillipore, is that a utopia is a paradise, a dystopia, a paradise lost. One recurring theme in a dystopian setting is a society thriving under constant surveillance. Bandersnatch is the perfect example of this. According to David Leon, its key feature is that people actively participate in an attempt to regulate their own surveillance and the surveillance of others. Bandersnatch embodies this concept in all of its irony, as the character of Stefan creates the game Bandersnatch, which entitles the player to control the choices of their online avatar, while he himself is being controlled by the viewer, which allows audiences to see different paths and endings of the movie, whether he goes to his therapist or takes drugs and others. More than that, when the message appeared on Stefan's screen explaining that he's being controlled through Netflix, he got paranoid, as do all of us do when we find out we're being watched. It creates the zoo effect wherein our behavior and actions changes. We become more secretive of our actions and be more creative in the ways that we handle our own privacy. Which is why it is ironic how people willingly watch Bandersnatch over and over again just to see its alternative endings. That data is used by governments and corporations to analyze the behaviors of its audience. It begs the question, is Bandersnatch only a figure of a dystopian future, or does it already reflect our current societies? In the essence of its entirety, Bandersnatch's unsettling endings and plot is a postmodern masterpiece which also depicts our society's culture of surveillance.